Suicidal ideations and drug use is mentioned a few times throughout the episode. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal ideations and need help, please call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988.
Have you ever wanted to partner with Navigator 9 Podcast and feature your brand on our episode? Make sure to send us an email at navigator9podcast@gmail.com and let's partner together. We have different tiers that can help you become successful. Make sure to hit us up and we'll catch you in the email. On to the episode. Hello, everybody. It's Annika LaQuette here, the host and creator of Navigator 9 Podcast. If you are new here, make sure to become an undeniable and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you aren't new here, hey, undeniables, make sure that y'all support the show. Continue to support the show. So, y'all, we have somebody on with us today. We have Peter. Hey, Peter.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so
Of
I'm so
course.
excited. Y'all, we had a good little conversation before the show started. So I love Peter already. He's a part of the family. Y'all hear that? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Likewise.
Yes, of course. So for the people who do not know you, if y'all live under a rock, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Peter Colter. I grew up in a small town called Clinton, New York. It's about, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles away from Utica, New York, which I guess is, the big market in New York. Everyone says, oh, Utica. I grew up in Clinton. It's a very small village. I suffered with manic depression and bipolar disorder since the age of 13 or so. And I was deaf until I was 11. I had 11 operations to gain hearing, permanent and semi permanent ear tubes, my tonsils and my adenoids removed when I was younger. I went through some spats of abuse, more other than less than some other people in my family. And I had an encounter with Jesus, and that's what made me change my life around because I was addicted to drugs. I was an alcoholic for 20 years. I'm now 3 years sober.
Congratulations.
And
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've been to 6 rehabs. I went to like 9 mental institutions because of suicide attempts. And I had an encounter with Jesus one night in North Carolina when I was going to pick up my nephews who had just, well, my godsons who had just graduated from the Marines. We went to go get them, and we were staying in a wicked nice hotel, and everybody was happy, and I just couldn't stop thinking about throwing myself off of the balcony, and so I just couldn't get it out of my head, and I'd been living with that demon for, oh man, my whole life, like 40 years,
Yeah.
and to be depressed like that is horrible. It's
Right.
there's people in the world that they can't even get out of bed. They can't brush their teeth. It's just so like, it's a lot,
It is.
and I definitely sympathize with them a lot more now than I used to. Because before I was so invested in why I was feeling like crap. You know what I mean? Instead of paying attention to other people also feeling like crap. I mean, everybody goes through depression, right? I think that's like the universal thing that we all have in common, whether it's, the languages we speak that we can't understand. The thing that we do have in common is the feeling depressed. It's universal. I don't know one person, no matter how happy they are, has not once been depressed, and that's just, it's unrealistic, right? So I had an encounter with Jesus. I screamed out to him and I told him, I said, a lot of things I wish I didn't say to him. Now that I'm looking back on it, for most of my life, I was very much against Jesus and the whole idea of any kind of religion. I think because I was just depressed a lot,
I get it.
And when you're like that, you don't really think about those kind of things, even though the answer is there. You don't want to see it.
Yeah.
You try to block it out of your life, or at least I did. I can't speak for other people, but that was my journey, anyways. So I screamed out to him and I told him, hey, if you've got a purpose for me, you should probably show it to me now. Anyways, next time. So I wrote the book, or before the book, I was on the balcony and I was screaming to him and I was telling him, you know, I'm sick and tired of this. I don't want to live with this anymore. My whole family is happy. All my kids are here and everybody's happy. And I just can't be happy, like, no matter what. You
Right.
know, I'm always angry about stuff. I was always, you know, just so depressed all the time. And so I stepped over the ledge and there's the railing there and I kind of baited him, I guess is what I did. I didn't really
Mm.
realize it at the time, but I told him, I said, you know, if I'm important and you love me so much, then you better do something and change my life. Right. And
Right.
so at that moment, I felt my heart shift. It's hard to explain, but it felt like a hand came in and turned my heart around.
Mm.
And all the depression I felt, the anxiety, the hate I had for myself, it went right out of my body. And
Ooh.
this has been a year now. I've been
Wow.
on Depakote ER. I've been on lithium. I've been on Wellbutrin. I've been on Zoloft. Um, he did for me what those things could not do.
Mm.
And I haven't lived with the depression or the anxiety for one moment since then. Not one. No
Thank
anger,
you, Lord.
no depression, no sadness. Oh, I thank him every single day.
Mm.
Every day I thank him for that. It makes me want to kind of cry a little bit because he
Yeah.
saved me. He saved me, you know. And it was me accepting him. That was the problem. I never wanted to accept him, you know?
Mm.
But once I was at that final moment, like I was done with everything. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. My kids would be better without me, you know, because I'm always just so upset about everything all the time. They're always seeing me cry. They're always seeing me sitting in the room with the lights off and, you know, metal music blaring all the time.
Right.
It's sad to think about, you know, but that hard seated depression, that anger and anxiety, it's been gone. It's gone completely. And,
Yeah.
you know, I have a lot to thank him for, you know, and I hope someday I will be able to see him to thank him, you know.
Mm.
And so ever since that moment, when that moment happened, after I couldn't, the whole entire rest of the trip, I was bawling my eyes out,
I believe it.
crying profusely, like every couple of minutes. And my godsons and my kids, they didn't understand it. My wife understood it. My wife, she's been with Jesus for her whole life. She's had him in her life for forever. She's a
Right.
godsend. She's a godsend, is what she is. And yeah, it's kind of it's a little emotional talking about this kind of stuff right now. Which
Because it's
usually I
real.
talk about this stuff and it's not emotional. It's this is what happened. Da, 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 da. But for some reason right now he's kind of pulling on my heart a little bit. I think he's trying to remind
Hmm.
me a little bit of how grateful I am. You know, and I am. I'm just so grateful. My life is completely different than it used to be.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, it is. And from that moment on the balcony, in between the crying and then the whole entire trip while I was there, I couldn't stop crying, right?
Right.
Nobody understood it. My wife was like, you, the Holy Spirit got you. That's what happened.
Hmm.
He
That's
gave you
exactly what happened.
something. You asked him, which means you believed in him, which means he
Yep.
gave it to you so you could see how much he loved you. And I didn't get it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm crying. And I just keep getting this idea in my head. And I'm like, who is this? What am I thinking about right now? And I
Hmm.
couldn't get it out of my head. So I started writing it. And I'm a screenwriter. That's what I was doing primarily before this. I had written some remakes to some really popular horror franchises. And uh, they were really brutal and dark and, you know, just evil. You know what I mean? And
Right.
well, you know, because that's where I was before I had this, you know, moment with
Yeah.
Jesus, you know. And
Yeah, I
so
get it.
yeah, so I started writing it into a screenplay, and I just was like, for some reason, I kept on getting this feeling like I should turn it into a book. I kept
And
on saying,
see, that's the thing.
turn it into a
Yeah.
book. Yeah,
And I
and
was gonna say that.
yeah, and it wasn't me though. I feel like
Hmm.
it was him. Like he did that,
Yeah.
you know. And so I started adapting it from the screenplay that I had already written, which was about 40, 50 maybe pages in. So it was almost a full script almost. I mean, 60 to 90 pages is really what they're looking for TV and um, movies.
Yeah.
So I wrote it into a book, and I released it. And when I was writing the book, it took about 6 or 7. I think it took 7 months completely, which is weird because that's the number of completion, right? So that's
It
like God's
is.
number. Yeah, I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
any of that until much later. You know what I mean? When I started
Same.
digging into the Bible and all that stuff, because once that happened, I can't even explain what it did though. It's so hard to explain it. My
Right.
whole life changed, my heart shifted. I felt like I know what love is now. Like
That's
I
good.
felt it and I knew what it was, and I just couldn't stop crying. Like, and I feel like I want to cry now too, so forgive me, but that's
Mm-mm.
him.
No,
That's
be
the Holy
yourself.
Spirit. That's what it is. That's him. And I know there's a lot of people that don't believe it, and then there's a lot of people now that are kind of sort of jumping on the bandwagon, I think it is, because he's
Mhm.
become so popular now.
Right.
Um, but what he did in my life was a complete 180.
That's
Complete.
amazing.
It is. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped doing all that stuff. Everything that I was doing that was hindering me from being close to him, I just stopped doing it. You know,
Yeah.
I took out all the piercings I had in my face. I just, I stopped swearing. Like I haven't.
Oh,
Yeah,
something's
yeah, right.
changed.
Oh, change. Yes,
Yes.
100%. And
Yeah.
that is because of him. I mean, I would implore anybody right now to just talk to him. What are you losing?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, right?
Nothing.
If you're depressed all the time and you feel like that, try it. Because what are you losing? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nothing.
once I realized that, I let myself accept him. And it was the best decision I've ever made. And so
Yeah.
I was writing the screenplay, I adapted it into a novel, and then I released it, and it kind of blew up. I don't really know like what, but
Mm-hmm.
within like a month, I had sold like 500 copies of it, and it
Oh,
was just kind of
wow.
like,
That's
wow,
good.
holy crap, like that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I've taken the original, which is this one. This is the one that was the book, The Endless Fall, and
Okay.
I retired this version, and I created a new version, which is this one, which is a special edition, and this has two new chapters in it, closing the book, because I kept on getting a lot of emails and personal messages saying or direct messages, I guess they're called, or what, I don't know. I'm
Yeah. Direct
41, so
messages.
it's
You're
like
good.
you're messaging me. I
You're
okay, I
good.
don't, let me try to figure out how to answer. But I mean, I'm incredibly tech savvy, right? But
Mm-hmm.
still, it's like sometimes I don't know, like I can't figure out Instagram is like,
Yeah. It's
what is
interesting.
Instagram? Like, do you just post like
Like
pictures on
pictures.
Instagram? I
Yes,
don't get it.
pictures
Yeah, I
and
don't get it. Yeah.
videos.
And then like I look at it one day, the day I set it up, it's at like 2 viewers. 3 days
Mm.
later, it's at 2.2 thousand. I'm like, what's
Yep.
going on? How did it blow up like that? They're like, what
It
did I
does that.
do? And all it was this. It was just a picture of this. It was just a picture of this saying that it was out
Mm-hmm.
online on Amazon. That's it. I didn't have it in Barnes and Noble or nothing like that. And
Wow.
we'll get to the Barnes and Noble thing in a minute. But so then I asked this kid. He owns a bookstore, and I was like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
do you think maybe I could do like a book signing here?" And he was like, "Yeah, that would be great." And then he actually drew this cover. He drew the new cover, and so I
That's
was like, yeah,
pretty. I
that's
love it.
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Daniel Letta is his name. It's he's a fantastic artist. I mean, and he drew
Oh, yeah.
Abuse too. So I'll show you that in a minute. But
Okay.
so I made this. This has got two extra chapters because people were asking me, well, what happens to this character and what happens to this other character, or where do they go, or what, all these questions. So I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
okay,
good.
okay. I have to close it out because now it's
Mm-hmm.
getting to the point to where I'm starting to think about it, and it's
Right.
kind of driving me nuts because it's making me feel like I didn't close the story all the way. So I had to write the two extra chapters and
Mm-hmm.
release them in this one. So this one is the only version that you will be able to buy now,
Okay.
starting next week, because
Next week.
this
Okay.
one's coming. This one's getting retired. So
Oh.
yeah. Okay. And then after that, After that, I wrote this one, Abused. And he also did this cover too. Daniel Letta
Oh
also did this
wow.
cover too.
Very
And
powerful
this,
looking.
yeah, right. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
fantastic artist. I mean, I love his art. It's specific and it's detailed, and he's got a
Yep.
style that I don't see. I
I
just
see
don't
that.
see it. So I really, really love the cover. He's an amazing artist. But the Endless Fall is about a girl. Before we get into Abused or whatever, the
You're good.
story that kept on hitting me after I had that experience with Jesus was about a 15-year-old girl who is suffers from nightmares of her own suicide, which is from my life. I
Hmm.
dreamt an awful lot, so much so that I was put on medicine to stop me from reaching REMs because I would have night terrors where I would wake up and freak out, and I would keep on saying things like I'm in hell, like it was crazy. And I ended
Yeah.
up going to the hospital a lot for it, because they didn't really understand what it was. This was, 40 years ago. I was a teenager, so it was about 30
Hmm.
some odd years ago, right?
Right.
So at those times, it's, that's kind of sort of, even the medication, they're not sure what it's going to do.
No,
You know what I
it's
mean? So it
different.
could have been from medication, it could have been from this, but I was on antidepressants since I was 12.
Mhm.
And you're not supposed to be, because it's an adult thing and your
It
brain
is a
is fully developed. But they didn't
yeah.
know what to do. They had convinced my parents to buy a $3,000 lamp and put it over the back of my head while I did my homework for
Oh
school,
wow.
because they thought that I had some kind of absence of light depression. They didn't know what was
Okay.
going on with me. I was trying to kill myself when I was like 11, 10 years old, and that's kind of it's unheard of. And they didn't
Hmm.
know what was going on, so they tried to throw everything at me and to see what would stick, what would stop me from doing those things. Right.
Right.
Um, I never did. I actually, I cut myself. There's a whole bunch of cuts here. I don't know if you can see them and whatever, but I was a cutter a lot. That's how I
Hmm.
dealt with things. And so that yeah, that's hurtful. Actually, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
I didn't really actually think about it, but what I was doing to
It's
myself was,
real.
yeah, it was
Hmm.
hurtful. I, I I wish I didn't do those kind of things, now,
You live and
because
you
I'm
learn.
grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my life now. Back then I wasn't. But so,
Hmm.
anyways, I had the story in my head and I was writing the screenplay, so I turned it into a book, and it's about a 15-year-old girl who goes through nightmares of her own suicide while also being abused by her heroin addicted father and her alcoholic mother, right?
Mm.
She also has a little brother named Ethan that she has to take care of, and he is extremely malnourished and not cared for, right?
Okay.
And through this, she also has a friend named Lana who is very suicidal and is also abused by her father. So the story in its core is a story about a 15-year-old girl's struggle to find and keep Jesus in her life.
Hmm.
That is really what it's about at its core. And it's got its dark points. The nightmares are very vivid. They're scary,
Yeah.
and they're meant to be, and a lot of it is her being, pulled into hell, or killing herself in all different ways. All of her different ways of suicide talking to her at once. It's like it's it's deep. It's a very deep
It
book,
sounds
and
deep.
it's yeah, it is, and that's where I got that idea from. I couldn't get it out of my head until I finished writing it, and the moment I stopped writing it was the moment that it left. It just went away. I didn't have that feeling, that urge to write it anymore. That's when I knew I
Right.
was done with it.
Hmm.
And so then I released it, and it became what it became, and it's I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what the people that have come up behind me and supported me. People that I thought, because of my depression, I thought all these people hated me. I thought so many people that I grew up with didn't like me. But what I'm finding out now is that I was actually a decent person.
Yeah.
I actually saved people from getting beat up. Um, I always stood up for the person that was getting picked on, and I don't know. I guess I don't really remember all that stuff about myself because I was so depressed all the time. But
Yeah.
I do know that that's my character, though. If somebody's getting
Mm-hmm.
messed with, I will do something about it. I'm not going to stand there. I'm going to do something because that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's who he made me, I think. And so then after I released that, people were, a lot of people kept on asking me, well, is it a series? Is there a part two?
They want
Right.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
so in here it's actually book one and book two. So
Okay.
I think maybe that made people think there was a third book or something, because the first fall the first fall is book one, and then there's book two in here, which is a little bit shorter. Um, it's not as big as book one. This is all of book one, and this is
Okay.
book two. But yeah, they wanted a quiet collapse is what the second book is called. But they wanted like to know if it was a series or whatever and what was going
Yeah.
to happen with it. And so I was like, no, it's just a one off. And that's when I added the two other chapters to close it out, because it was
Okay.
becoming like a lot of people asking. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And then I re-released it. So now that's out, and it's, I'm grateful for that one. And then this one, Abused, is my second book, and this one is about a teenager who suffers from schizophrenia, and it's his downward spiral, basically the whole entire book. It is not the hopeful book that Endless Fall is. It is the other side of the spectrum. It is very dark, and it's depressing, and it's sad. Sorry, a lot of the stuff I took from my life and I put in that book.
And
So
that's
to
the thing.
me,
That's okay. Mm-hmm.
Abused is effective, and I hope that it draws an attention to what a finality is, when
Mm-hmm.
somebody understands their finality, when they understand it's time to commit suicide. I
Yeah.
hope that it makes people understand what those signs are, so
Yeah.
that they can help those people before they get to that point of no return. And that's really what this book is. So um yeah.
I like
and
that.
then
Yeah.
uh and then I have another one coming out February, called Home, and
I
that
saw that.
is,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that is
Yep.
about two Amish girls named Blossom and Lilith, who defy their father's strict rules and go to a fair.
Mm.
uh, and then at the fair, they're kidnapped by a cult, and the cult brings them to a house that is part of an elaborate ritual trap, and it is their fight for survival through faith and a guiding light that I don't really want to give away what the guiding light is, but it's effective. Let's put it. It's another word. It's effective, right? I don't. I mean, I think it'll be out soon what that light is, and we'll see if people react to it the way they should. But it's more of a I would say fantasy horror book. You know what I mean? It
People
kind of
looking at the
went
movie.
into,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, we seeing that you said that, we'll get into that part of the conversation too. Okay, so the Endless Fall right now is being pushed through financing to become um, something, either a series or a film. Yes,
Okay.
and I've been tapped to write both of them. So that's
Well,
what I'm
that's
doing
good.
now. Now that those are done, I am about 90% done with the film version and about 60% done with the television version. Television is a little bit different than movie, and it's
It
really,
is.
I had met someone who has a lot of stuff under his belt, and I was, again, very lucky, and so he's taking that on, and he's finding financing and producing and directing. So
That's
uh
good.
and I was very lucky to get that person. Actually, I have a meeting with him tonight, so I'm pretty excited. That's good. Yes, and Abused is also getting the same treatment.
Wow.
So I'm just started doing that. He told me that this morning. He said, I want to do
Okay.
Abused too. So can you write that as well? And I said, yeah, of course. And he's like,
That's
okay, get it
exciting.
copyrighted, send it on over to me, and we'll go through it and da 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 da. So I still have a process in front of me. financing, publishing, or producing, and all that stuff. He's taking care of all that stuff. But I do have a time period, so he's looking to do like next fall.
Okay.
Because the story takes place primarily in winter, and it would be a lot easier to film in the winter than it would be to just create the winter. It
Right.
costs a lot of money.
It does.
But yeah, so those things they're moving in the right direction, and I also started a business with a woman who works as PR for Warner Music, and
Oh,
so she's
nice.
got a lot of connections with a lot of bands and a
Okay.
lot of directors, Netflix, HBO, those kind of things. So we're going through that route as well, and that's called Dark Seed Studios, and it's just starting now. It's probably going to take about 3 or 4 months to get fully up, but it should be under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. So those are things that we're moving in the direction of getting done, and so yeah, I've been very lucky. I'm very grateful for what's happening right now, and the funny thing is that through prayer, I asked Jesus to send me one person,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he works, he sent me three, right?
Mm.
So uh, I'm just so grateful. It's amazing. And then I was on a podcast called, well, it was called Light's Wisdom, but
Okay.
now it's called Azan TV, and he interviewed me, and then he asked me if I would like to co-own it with him.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, yeah, of course, because I want to help people. That's what I feel like he gave me. My purpose was to help people, help them through that book, help them through, getting them on shows, getting them to tell their stories. I give lectures. I've spoken at churches. I've got a big college speech that I'm giving in March. I've
Okay.
got book signings at Barnes and Noble coming up, and it's a lot of stuff. And then Barnes and Noble, I went into my local Barnes and Noble in New Hartford, New York, and I said, you know, I had a meeting with them, as I don't want to talk about it too much because I've been asked a lot by people how I got them in there, right? And I can't divulge to everybody, right?
That's
Because
true.
I told them I wouldn't, and I'm kind of under
Okay.
like a partial NDA, which
Oh,
is more
okay.
of
I
like
understand.
a verbal NDA, like a hey, you know,
Yeah.
try not to say it to everybody, right?
I get it.
And I can understand why. That's a lot of books they would have to read. It's a lot of getting the right green lights and saying yes, and yes, we can do this, and yes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a process. But luckily, I was very blessed that I brought in the Endless Fall to a specific person, and within like 4 days, they contacted me back and was like, "This is fantastic.
That's
Um,
good.
we would love to have it in the store. Let me know what we can do." And since then, it's been bring in books, sell them. It's just been such a great relationship, and I'm very lucky for them, and very grateful for them. These two specific people, and
I'll give you 5 seconds to send us an email saying that you want to be a partner with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
so now they're before Home was even out. I went there and I talked to him. I dropped off some books because I had sold the books. I sold out at Barnes um, for the second
Hey.
time. So the second time I sold out, I brought more books,
Right.
and because that's the kind of thing that we have going. It's not they order
Yeah.
books; it's I bring them. So there's a little secret for everybody that I shouldn't have said, but it's there anyways, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
we'll just
said
leave it there.
it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yes, okay.
So anyway, so I brought the book in and I was like, hey, da 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 da. Da, da, da. I sat down, and had a meeting with him, and then she read it. And she said it was great. She said, let's do that. And then Abused came out. She said, yes, I want to read it myself. And they are actually in the dedications in there. So I put them in the dedications for that book and for Home because of all their help.
Right.
And they saw that and they were like, "What? That's crazy!" And they were so happy about it, and I was elated. I was glad that they were happy. But so anyways, so I said, Abused is out, and I was thinking about this one. Would you want to give it a read? And she said no. She goes, just bring it in. Let's just do it. And then she saw it, and she goes, okay, so this is my copy, right? And I said, of course it is. Of course it's your copy. Your name's in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she did read it, and she said she cried a lot. She said it was super impactful, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then now Home is coming out, and I had went and had another meeting with them and signed another contract with them for that. So I've signed 4 contracts with them now, and yes. So, and one was one of the book signings I did. I did a book signing there too, and then I have another one coming up in February. So I have another book signing there,
Okay.
and so before Home was even finished, she said yes, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take your books off of the shelf, and we're going to put them in their own center display with a poster, so all your books will be right here with the bestsellers. And I said, what? I was like, thank you so much. Wow, that's great. I'm just so like, I'm grateful for that,
Yeah.
and that display goes up January 23rd, and Home will be exclusive for Barnes and Noble until its
Wow.
worldwide release in February. So that's another
Hey.
contract that I signed. So yeah, they've just been. I mean, they are just fantastic. And then the other bookstore that helped me out a lot was Book Arts and More, which is also in New Hartford, and that's Daniel Letta's shop, the cover artist for Endless Fall and Abused.
Yeah.
And he's just been, their whole entire store is great. It's like a bunch of books. It's just like that old homey vibe. You go in and there's a
Yeah.
bunch of books and there's a couch and there's coffee and it's like you chill. And he gave me my first book signing, and I did pretty well. It was great. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did one at Barnes and Noble, and I did really good, and that was great. Now I have another one coming up for the Home release specifically, but all my books will be there on February 21st, from I want to say it's 4 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. It's like 4 hours long. It's like, I don't know, but it is what it is. That's all. It's
Yeah.
a long time. Um, sometimes, sometimes it's not. Last time I was there, it was not. The time went by super quick. I was like, wow, holy
Mm-hmm.
crap, I'm done already. And I actually stayed after longer because 2 more people came in to buy the book. So I was like, okay, I'll chill. And then the one lady, her son had bought the book. He bought the last one of the night and
Mm-hmm.
went home and told his mother about the experience and stuff. And she found me on Facebook and she was like, I just want to thank you so much for being so kind to my son. And I can't wait to read your book and this and that. And I was like, wow, it just made me feel really good. And I was like, thank you so much. Your son's an amazing person. He seems like a really nice kid.
And see,
And
that's what I was
so,
gonna go into next.
yeah,
Like for children who are going through, like, because children, they are the most to like go through mental health and
yeah.
disabilities and things like that. So like, what advice would you give them for like going through mental health and finding like a better outlet for them?
Well, first I would tell them to write it down. I mean,
Okay.
that's what I did. So like the first half of Abused is really my journal entries. They're
Yeah.
really like from my inner thoughts when I was younger, just kind of sort of articulated a little bit,
Hmm.
to make it good for a book. It's not like really reading other people's journal entries is kind of like, what is it? What are they talking about? Because you're not going through it.
Right.
But what I would say is, write, talk, because there's people that care about you. Whoever's going through it, dude, there's someone that cares about you. And
Yes.
if you can't understand that it's Jesus that loves you so much,
Hmm.
then find a person. Because there are people that care.
Yeah.
Uh, even in the world that we're living in right now, I'm pretty sure that if somebody were to reach out to any random person, within the 3 people that you would reach out to, one of them will care.
Yes.
And really,
Hmm.
we're social creatures, right? So we want people to care. We might not say we want them to care, right? Because that's
Right.
taboo,
Yeah.
but we do. We want people to care. You know, when we're doing good, we want people to say congratulations, and when we're not doing good, we
Mm-hmm.
want people to ask if we're all right. You know, and
Yes,
that's human. It's human.
it
So I
is.
would say understand that you're human first, right? Write it down, talk to people, and if you're really on the edge, call 988. It's the suicide
Mm-hmm.
hotline. Call
I'm
them
gonna
because
put it
those
in the show,
people.
y'all. Yes.
Yes, yes, please do.
Mm-hmm.
Please do. It's in all of my books. It's in all of
Yep.
my books, and it will be in all of my books because that line has helped so many people. It's saved people.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
saved
has.
people's lives. Literally. That's what it does. That's what that phone is for. That phone line is for. Call them, text them, talk.
Yep.
You know, it's not going
Mm-hmm.
to change holding it in, you know, and I held it
Nope.
in. I know. I held it in for 40 years before I said, you know, if you don't show me what my purpose is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but if I didn't get to that point, it would have never happened, you
Yep.
know? So while I say you have to suffer sometimes to see the point, and it's raw to say that, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. You can't be grateful for things if your whole life was perfect,
That's true.
right? If I have everything given to me, why would I care when you give me something? It
Mm.
wouldn't matter to me. I have everything.
Right.
What don't I have? Love, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the number one universal thing that everybody wants is love.
That's it.
We could say we
Love.
want money, but it's really just love, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
And
and
appreciation.
appreciation, yeah. And that's
Yes.
why I don't focus on money. I don't focus on those kind of things. I try to
Mm-mm.
focus on helping people. If I can take somebody and put them up higher than I'm at, and I can
Yeah.
look at them and say, "Hey, look, they're doing great things for themselves," then I can be happy with my job, what I did, you know,
Yes.
and then in turn, you know, I can give that to God. I can give it to God and give him the credit for it because that's really where it is. The credit should be given to
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. And that's just
Right.
my personal journey, right? But
Yes.
like I said earlier, if you don't try, how would you know? And what do you have to lose, really? You know,
Right.
for so many years, I kept myself away from that. I was like, no, 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 no. Don't even
Mm-hmm.
try to call out to him. Don't do that. Why? Feel like I wasted a lot of my life doing that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm super grateful for who I am now and for what he did for me, and I know it's him and I feel him all the time, and that's just, I'm grateful.
I'm so proud of you. You have like shown your story to the world, not just me, but to the world. Okay. And
Hmm.
beyond this platform, I'm just so proud of you because listening in from like, of course I did research and all that, but actually listening to you one on one, I need to
Yeah.
hear that. And I know people who are on my show who also deal with mental health and
Yeah.
this mental health battles and different disabilities, and they feel
Yeah.
like, dang, like my life is over, But
Yeah.
you literally just proven like you were deaf, like as a kid, and now you're
Hmm.
like flourishing, and you know God for who He is, and you are writing books and making music and living
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of you. You like I need to hear this today. Because, yes, and now it inspires me to keep going and continue to push out this content for people who need it
Yes. Yes,
and need
please
some time.
do.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. So, thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing your story because I don't even have to ask no
Thank you.
questions. Okay, you welcome. I don't have to ask all my questions I have. You literally answer every last one.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
do
I
that.
ain't ask questions because you was
I
open and
figured that
honest with
out.
me.
I do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. So I want to
Thank you
thank you
so
so,
much.
so much. Yes. Give yourself a one more shout out. Tell people where they can follow you at.
You can find me on Facebook, and I do want to say to all the people that are out there, because you did mention mental health and stuff like that,
Yes.
and that's kind of sort of what we've been talking about almost this whole time,
Hmm.
and that's great because that's important. It's super
Yes.
important, and I would say if there's anybody out there that needs somebody to talk to, reach out to me.
Yeah.
Like
Please do.
honestly, reach out to me. I will answer you. It might take a little while, but I will answer you. I do
Hmm.
care, you know, and that's kind of sort of what I've also taken on. I've taken on the trying to help as many people as I can. And, you know, sometimes it's a lot, right?
It is.
Because a lot of people with a lot of issues, you know,
Yes. You're
and
right.
I mean, issues, I don't know if they're issues. They're not
But I wouldn't call
issues.
issues. No.
No, they're not issues. They're
Mm-mm.
just different aspects, different ways to see
That's
things,
better.
perspective,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So if anybody's got an issue, or not an issue, a perspective, or they're
Mm-hmm.
feeling down, or they're feeling, hey, if you're feeling great, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Call me, reach out, message me. I will get a hold of you. I will contact you back. I am a very reachable person, and a lot of
Yes.
people have found that out. The people
Yes.
that buy the book, they can go right on there, message me, I bought your book, and they're in England or something, and
Oh.
Canada or something, and I immediately talk to them immediately, because not because they bought my book, but because I want to know about their life. And I tried not to talk about the book. I tried
Yeah.
very hard to get away from my stuff and talk to whoever's trying to get a hold of me, because that's what we're there to
Mm-hmm.
talk about. You call me, I'm going to talk to you about you, not me,
Yeah.
and I think that's important.
That
And
is
I,
important.
I wouldn't want to go see a psychiatrist or a doctor and they sit there and talk about themselves the whole time.
Right.
That's not what I'm
No.
here for. And I did that too. I went
Mm-hmm.
to I've been seeing psychiatrists since I was like, oh man, 12. And they were
Mm-hmm.
all kind of just like, oh, well, this is my degree and this is my new fountain pen. And it's just like, dude,
Mm-mm.
I just gained my hearing. I can barely understand what you're saying because
Right.
I had to learn English.
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
Exactly. Really.
that wasn't easy either. English is
Mm-mm.
hard. Like
It is.
when you're little and you're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G and hooked on phonics and all that stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
what I then everything's great. Everything's gravy because you know it by the time you're 12. But when you have to learn that stuff when you're like 8, 9 years old, 10 years old,
Mm.
it's difficult, man.
I believe
I
it.
almost think I could have learned Japanese and been better off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, who knows? But yeah, I would say reach out to me, please. I'm always here. And you can find my stuff on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. It's everywhere, so. And don't hesitate, please. Please don't hesitate to get a hold of me because seriously, I think that that's what my other purpose is. I'm
Yeah,
supposed to talk to people.
you
I'm
are.
supposed to, and I'm not going to harbor people about Jesus and God. That's everybody's own personal decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you have to get there when you get there. If you ever get there, you might not ever get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But are you going to
Yeah.
be okay right now? Can you be
Mm-hmm.
okay right now? That's what
Right.
matters, to me. Can you be okay right now? And if that's Jesus, then great,
Right.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's
Agreed.
not, and it's just a shoulder to lean on or an ear to listen, I'm here. I'm here
Right.
all the time. And I've got my own life and
Mm.
I've got my own kids and I've got, all this. But I will make time, because it's
Yes.
important. It is.
It is important.
Yeah.
Yes. Y'all just give it up for him, okay? Because like he shared his story, which I love. Okay, he was authentic, which I love too. So I want to thank you
Thank you.
so much. You're welcome. I want to thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
coming on Navigator 9 podcast today.
Of course. I love being on this. It was amazing. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Next week, we will be diving into why you should never deny yourself. And remember, yes, life was delayed, but it never gave denied. I'm your host, Annika Laquette, and you just listened to Never Gave Denied podcast with Peter. Bye, y'all. I know you're not going to deny a subscription. It's a whole new season and you're still playing. Click here to subscribe and click here for more episodes because we want to see you and become undeniable with us. Period.